I begin this painting by working on the background. The first layer, when I paint with open acrylics, it's somewhat streaky, so I don't worry too much about getting it absolutely perfect. I'm just trying to block in the basic colors. Now that I have a gradient somewhat worked out, I'm working on the shadow shapes of the apples. They're very dark in the shadow areas. It's a mixture of phthalo blue, quinacridone magenta, and probably a little bit of yellow. I didn't really use black in this painting. So now I move on to the orange, and since the background is still wet, I can soften the edge of the orange a little bit. And now I'm just blocking in the shadow area of the orange. I work back into that later, and I correct that color a little bit. Most of the apple is like in shadow, so. And then here is the table. It's more of it's like a tiled, like a glossy tile. So there's a reflection of the orange, painting the edge of the canvas there. The early stages of painting are fun because it goes so quick. You block in the basic shapes and you get somewhat of an image. So I'm putting in the final areas of the table, and once I have that done, the basic colors will be blocked in. So here's the second painting session. The paint has had a chance to dry. You can tell it's a little bit streaky, but the second coat will totally eliminate that. I'm working on the transition area between the shadow and the highlights on the apple. Once again, that's not black. I just mix my own black. Here's the highlight section on the orange, and this is where I correct the color of the shadow shape on that orange. It's a little bit darker, and there is a little bit of orange reflected into it, or I should say a little bit of the red from the apple. So I turn it upside down so I can get to that angle a little bit better. And I wanted to redo the background just to get rid of the streaks, and it also helps with blending the orange color into the background because it's easier to blend wet into wet. So I'm just working on smoothing it out. These open acrylics are much easier to blend. So here I'm working on the edge of the apple, going into the background, trying to soften it a little bit. Add a little highlight to where the stem is, and now I'm working on the table part because that's the area that needs the most work right now. So I'm just softening it, and I added the color of the reflected colors from the orange and the apple. Now the shadow shapes are getting the second coat. There is a final stage where I add more detail that I didn't film, but it's mostly just putting in the textures of the orange, maybe a few other details. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe.